Yes, my name is Kuldeep Singh Randhawa. I am making a number of videos which have been embedded onto the website www.realrandhawa.com. This website I've done to brand myself, considering the level of character assassination that's been done by various institutions and individuals. It's not the case that many lawyers who I once retained did not understand this. They're persuaded to walk away from a victim. When a person goes into the courtroom, the sheriffs are then utilized and weaponized as a means to harass a victim, so he's discouraged to come to the court. Or reports are sent upstairs to someone who's going to tell that Mr. Randhawa's in court and he has to be denied justice. When I go to the Vancouver Registry counter, I tell them to investigate my missing funds, and they're not investigated. And so it's not the case that these individuals in the court don't know what's going on. They have a job, they're trying to keep their jobs, but what they have to realize is that it would not be a good thing for you guys if I file criminal charges, because I cannot keep on coming into court doing the decent thing and telling you that there's crimes taking place and you're not investigating it. So there will be a number of applications now made in the provincial court. Those previous complaints are still pending. I still need to know where my funds have gone. I'm not talking about the orders, I'm talking about funds which ended up in the trust accounts. And so there's clearly a lot of institutions, and we have a Prime Minister here who keeps on talking about systemic racism and downplaying what's really taking place is systematic racism. And it's time that the Canadians open their minds and hearts and do the right thing here. There's something seriously wrong with Canada at the present time. And it's wrong because the Canadian people as a whole have accepted this form of tyranny. And having accepted it, you are silent. And that is part of the issue. And so there's a lot of cultural exploitation take place. As a Sikh, I know, for example, that I've not really had the positive response from the Sikh nation as a whole, despite the fact that I've designed a number of Sikh Gurdwaras. I know there's an organization called World Sikh Organization that has not allowed me even 5 minutes to speak on one of their stages, where I wanted to tell them this is what's taking place. Whatever is taking place, I'm sure these individuals are trying to do the right thing in a different approach. Taking a diplomatic approach is one way of solving a problem. But when you're dealing with people who are deeply racist and involved in criminal activity, you have to be very careful. And so the exploitation that's taking place is taking place through some Sikhs, and you are misinforming the Sikhs about the activity. Most Sikhs give you respect because you are supposed to be doing the right thing. Most politicians from the Sikh nation, and it's not any different from other politicians of other faiths, when you ignore the public, you are actually failed in your function as a politician. You are an individual who has to service the people in your constitution. So what I really like to say is that as part of the freedom groups, I've taken some time out. I do have still some health issues, but I would be re-emerging within a couple of months, and I will be making applications in the Supreme Court before a judge who is not corrupt. I will not appear before those judges who are involved themselves in serious crimes, and they will be investigated. There's only one justice that I may want to give an opportunity, and that is Madam Justice Choi. Other than that, all of the judges who have been involved have committed serious crimes and repeated it. And each one of those crimes is punishable under law. So to the freedom fighters out there, and as a general message, our Prime Minister talks to us as if we are a fringe minority. And he is correct there. We are a fringe minority. But I believe within a period of 2 years, the fringe minority is going to be the majority. I say that with complete confidence because I now realize that what's really taking place in Canadian society is over a period of about 3 decades. All of the good and honest people who have the integrity and are able, qualified enough to talk about certain aspects of science or engineering, they've been targeted and removed from society. They've been harmed through this activity that I've kind of mentioned to you. So now you have a society where the goodness is taken out, and then the rest of the Canadians out there who are not capable enough to come forward are actually questioning, and they are preconditioned because we are told that we live in a democracy, so they're very civilized in the approach. We go to the courts thinking judges are honorable, so we treat them with honor and respect when they have actually disrespected me and many other victims considerably whilst they're doing the crimes. And so we need all those people who have been harmed to be connected with. We have to connect with those guys, and you need to understand that this medical tyranny didn't just come about. It took place over many, many decades where the society was actually eliminated from the goodness. And so we have to reach out. To the Canadian public, all I can say is there's seriously something wrong with this nation, and it's our thinking, and we need to change that. And so to those professional engineers who have been harmed by APEC BC, connect with me. To all those freedom fighters who want to do some business with me so I can start making some income, because it's clearly that if I continue going to the courts before these idiots who knowingly know that they're doing the crimes, I will be harmed further by these individuals. They are people who are not honorable. They've crossed the line, they've gone onto the dark side, they've done criminal activity, and they're going to continue protecting themselves. And so I have a message for the freedom fighters that I'm decided that I'm going to be doing an address to the Sikh nation. It's going to be in Punjabi, and it will most likely be done towards the end of September of 2023. If any of my friends, my brothers and sisters out there from the freedom groups, the Seekers of Truth, who want to send a message to the Sikh nation, I'm willing to do that as part of this address. I will be reconnecting with some of the doctors who are friends of mine, people who have been harmed, and I hope they understand that it was necessary for me to distance myself for a period of time so I could regain my strength and sanity to move forward. Because there's a number of people who were saying things about me, and I don't think we need to do that. We need to really unite in a solid way. We need to reach out to the indigenous groups. If there's an indigenous group out there that wants to work with me, I'm still willing to do that. But we have to work to a certain structure. We've got to come to a clear understanding and follow the understanding. We need to have certain standards about protests. We've got to maintain that if someone is throwing eggs at us from the 3rd floor when we're marching on the streets, that's an assault. We need to press charges against these individuals. When the police is not acting, we need to file complaints and pursue that individual matter and have that police officer removed because he's not protected us. We can't be marginalized, we can't be ignored. We have to protect ourselves. We're part of a family that's speaking the truth when the politicians have actually sold out this nation, as far as I'm concerned. And so I have a closing message for our famous Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And this actually is a message to all Canadians. And I have to say this, so please listen very carefully. When you have a nation like Canada, where many people come to this nation thinking it's a nation that stands behind humanity, it has a good reputation at the world level. people have come to this country selecting this nation as opposed to going to another country. They come here with so much hope, love, and respect. It's a new start. It's a difficult move. And so most Canadians accept newcomers. But the fringe minority, which is now 2%, I think within about 2 years, they will be the majority. The truth of what's taking place here in Canada will be known to many, including those newcomers. And all those individuals that came to this country with a lot of heart, love and respect and hope, upon learning what's really taking place here, that love will be converted to hatred. And that is a dangerous situation. This is not something that we want. We are protesting because it's our right. We are told we live in a democracy, and if that is the case, and it's run under a rule of law, then I need to know why I have not received justice, having gone before numerous justices where I can't even physically walk into the courthouse. And we have a professional body like APEC BC that is protecting engineers who have involved themselves in crimes and fraud. And they're part of that fraud. And they're protected by judges like Justice Verhoeven. This is not going to work anymore, guys. You really need to understand that when the entire nation will realize what's going on, it's not going to be good for this nation. It's not going to end well. So, if this COVID thing didn't occur, a lot of people like myself would not even have a voice. I know that for a fact. I believe the COVID is actually a cure for corruption. It has made a lot of people come forth. We need to understand that this pandemic was not as serious as it was made out to be. It was more like a normal flu, but yet we are being vaccinated again and again because Canadians believe in the word vaccination. It's considered as a good word. And for that reason, I've decided that when something is put into your body and it's not even tested properly, it's like putting poison into your body. And so I've come up with a new word and I've called it Vaxide. And I've submitted it to the Oxford English Dictionary. Because we have to change the way we think. The vaccine that existed in the past, I've had no issues of being injected with something which is backed up by science and good practice, and it's done rigorous testing. There's a whole process involved. But what we have here is something which is not a vaccine. It's like putting poison into you. And there are now reports from the UK, which I've mentioned in other videos, that indicate that all those people that were, in quotes, vaccinated have the highest mortality rates. So there are also reports about the regulation of institutions in Canada, where they're questioning there's something not right about Canada. And it seems to me we have people from the ethnic groups who are being exploited, and they're not being investigated because that's how the scams take place. And so some of these people within the Indo-Canadian community may end up with their careers ended because they're following the instructions of someone who is corrupt and in a position of influence or power. We need to open our minds to put an end to this tyranny that's taking place here. There's more harm done by the masks, I believe. You're wearing a mask which is receiving germs, and those germs are preventing a person from breathing clean oxygen. How many studies have been done about that? The impact of making you more sicker because you're wearing a mask which is contaminated and you're not breathing in good air. By the way, I've made a video on this before. The masks do not keep out the COVID-19. So if it doesn't work, why even wear it? Now, because it's so small that it just passes through. It's like drinking, trying to suck in a stone with a straw. You can't do that because the size is too big. But if you suck in a sand particle, you will take it straight in because the particle of the sand is quite small. It will just go through the straw. And that's what's happening with this COVID-19. It's just going through the masks because it's so small. And I don't understand why basic facts are being overlooked by the doctors who clearly have done wrong. And so those good doctors who are speaking the truth, they are being harmed, just as I have been harmed because I spoke the truth about the fraud. And so if all those people who are speaking the truth are going to be harmed, no one's going to be speaking the truth. So I'm going to bring a closure to this and say that if the Canadian government and politicians have mismanaged this problem with the COVID-19, it's time to come clean and own up, because we seem to be in a culture here where once a fraud is done, rather than stop that, you carry on with further crimes because you want to proceed ahead by eliminating the goodness in society. And that's all I'm going to say. I love those freedom fighters out there. I will be re-emerging and talking to some of my friends. Finances is clearly still an issue because now that you see the website, you'll see what is really taking place is they're trying to interfere with everything that I do. So, but I will come through this eventually. And I'm certain that my family, if you're listening to this, you've brought me up correct and in the right. It's time that you stand on the right side of the fence. Thank you.